Welcome, everybody. We're talking thumbnails.
We got a bunch of little thumbnails all on the screen.
I move my head over to one side or the other.
These are, if you don't recognize some of these faces, these are our most popular YouTubers in our course. we got Karen Gardner, we got Sean Jardine, we got Mike Patel. And they've gone through the course. They're implementing some stuff. They're getting leads. They're doing their thing, and we're gonna talk about thumbnails. We're talking about thumbnails. We got some channel reviews too. So while we're doing these channel reviews today, everybody that's going to be able to stay to the end, I want you guys to give your feedback because I want you to put your 2 cents in on what you see with the thumbnails and how they can improve it. And then I can let you know if you guys have been paying attention in class. So the first question I got this week, Joe Eves, somebody was showing me at their thumbnail, and it just so happened they had their shirt on that had tons of logos on it. So I wanted to ask you, Joe, why wouldn't people want logos on a t-shirt?
Well, there's a lot of reasons why, but if you have like your brokerage or you have other things on there, like, and you decide to change brokerages, then you got that. Plus you have some copyright issues. You've got, there's lots of reasons why. And it makes a lot of sense to, when you're taking photos, if you don't have like, stuff that has logos, even on your hats and stuff, then you should be photoshopping that stuff or editing it out.
Yeah, why advertise for other people if they're not going to pay you? Now, if they're paying you and they give you a bunch
have
of
it on a neon sign.
Yeah, put the plaster it all over yourself. Like temporary tattoos on your face if you want to, but don't advertise for people that aren't paying you. That's all I have to say about that. But the thing is sometimes we just forget we take those thumbnails. Joe Eves is famous for this.
I do it because I know that you're just going to take it off. So
yeah, I know. So if you guys don't know, I use a program called PicMonkey, and I do this thing. There's a couple ways you could do this. So sometimes what I'll do is if it's a big thing, like you can see this logo here, shockingly enough, it's it's for Vid Summit. So you could do something like this and you just can, get it out of the way really quickly. That's one way you could do it, which will work, not a big deal. Or what you could do is I do cloning, right? So I'll clone the image. So I'll go over here into edits and then I'll hit clone. And then I'll just take a piece of the shirt and then I'll just start cloning over it. So that way you can't see the logo. So there's 2 ways to get rid of it, but get rid of it. Always get rid of it unless they're paying you.
Yep. The thing is, it also helps with the way your thumbnails look so that if you're trying to get a certain look, it's not so messy and distracting. Yep.
Sometimes what I'll do is, if you want to sneak your own branding logo in there, then you can put it on your t-shirt. We've done that.
We've done that too.
Yep. So did somebody come in and pop out? I heard a popping noise and then they came back out. No, guess not.
Not sure.
Mike, since you were the first one to pop in, what has been your biggest struggle when it comes to thumbnails?
The biggest struggle is that I'm trying to create a thumbnail that I'm going to like, not thinking what they're going to like.
That's a good one.
That's a good point.
And there's some thumbnails that I absolutely think are hideous.
Right.
Hideous. And it ends up being the one that after the video wasn't doing well, I ended up doing the ABC testing that comes with YouTube, and it picked the ugliest one. The ugliest one. And I was so angry.
Yeah.
Because I hate it. I still to this day hate it. Yeah. But it's not about what we want. That's
exactly.
For sure.
So when I look for thumbnails, I go through what I like, and the ones I like, they might have 200 views or 1,000 views, and the ones that are 300, 400,000 views, and I don't like them, and I try not to go there. But now I don't care if I don't like it, I go for it because they've proven that, hey, that's what they're clicking. So go for that. So I do those, even though I personally don't like them, but it's what they like.
Yep. It's kind of like when everybody was doing fire. I mean, I was so sick of fire, but every once in a while I still throw the fire in the thumbnail because, it works. It works. All right, Karen, I want to know what is your biggest frustration when it comes to thumbnails?
So I like making thumbnails and I spend a lot of time on them. So when they don't hit, it's incredibly frustrating. And I'll make a couple different versions and I'll try the one, then the other, and the other. And if none of them hit, I'm just like, it's frustrating, I've got it and I've worked so hard on it and really taken a lot of time. And then it's like, nothing.
I've had that happen too. I have ones that I had worked so hard on that I almost overworked it. And then I had something that, kind of stepped away from the situation, take a look at it, and they're like, why don't you just do this, this, and this? And I'm like, okay. And I do that and then it starts popping off and I'm gonna feel like an idiot because sometimes I think we overcomplicate it, especially when we enjoy making all the little elements that go in it. We're like, that's pretty. Look how nice that looks. I think that's what happens.
Yeah. It also is one of the things that when you first start designing thumbnails is that you feel like you have to cram everything in there because it's like, I have to I need everyone to know what's going on. So there's kind of the two versions of it, right? You have the person that's like planning and putting everything that they can, filling up every inch of it that you can't hardly see anything. Or you get people that are like, I didn't even think about a thumbnail and the video's uploading and they just click some part of the video and it's like, that's good enough. That's a good thumbnail. And then they move on.
Yeah. Most people do it at the last minute.
Yeah.
I mean, to this day, I don't know how many people are like, I filmed this video and it's about this. What should I make the thumbnail? How should I make the thumbnail? And I'm like, I don't know. I immediately say, I don't know. I can't tell you that. What do I say? What does your recon say? That's what I say. Can't tell you how to make a good thumbnail. You're going to tell me how to do it. So, Sean, what is your biggest frustration when it comes to thumbnails?
Oh, geez, all of it. And yes, guilty as charged. I like to make the video first because that's the procrastinator in me. Do first what you like the most. And I hate the thumbnail part. And so I usually leave it until the end. I usually will have an idea, but then I'm scrambling at the last minute. I got to get this together. And I've tried paying people. I've tried doing it myself. The paid guys aren't any better. No. And you can't find a really good guy. The good guys don't want to do your thumbnails unless you're a big channel. They don't want to talk to me. And so I have to learn it and it's getting better, but for me, it's the procrastination of it. And then it fails at the end.
I think the biggest lesson I've learned about paid help when it comes to thumbnail is that, you have to give them guidance. Like you have to show them exactly what you want. So that way, when they go to create it, they have a good guidance and understanding of what it is that you want. Because what happens is this, a lot of these guys are making thumbnails for motorcycle channels and gaming channels and, vlogging channels. And all those styles of thumbnails are completely different from one another. So when they get into the real estate, they're ending up like, if you give them no direction, right? No direction, they're kind of going by, okay, these are the fundamentals which make a good thumbnail. I'm just going to go with this. And it looks pretty and it's easy to read. So, usually, especially if you know nothing about thumbnails, you're like, hey, this is a pretty good thumbnail. I like it. But you don't realize that no one's going to click on that because you're not studying what works on YouTube like fire, like fire. And Sean, we're going to break you out of that habit, man. Before you even film that sucker, you got to make the thumbnail and you got to get that title in there.
I need to take like a week and just make the next 30 thumbnails. I can't even get a video made because I'm too busy right now. But that's why I'd like to pay a guy. But again, I'm not good at giving direction. I want him to read my little mind. And you're right. We have to tell them exactly what we want. And if I have to do all that, I should just do it myself. But I need to, what's that saying? Eat the frog. You got to take a bite of what you hate first and get it over with. And so I just have to put it first.
I've never heard that expression.
I haven't either, actually.
Yeah, you eat. I think it's eat the frog, where you do the hard, yucky thing first, and then you can get on to the fun stuff. But you know, I think a lot of creative people struggle with this.
So you're comparing designing thumbnails to eating frogs.
You never eat a frog.
When I've read that book, I forgot I've read that book that you're talking
Okay,
about.
so I'm not crazy. It's a real
I
thing.
read that book. I forgot the title, but I read that.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Eat the frog. You know,
Eat
you
that
should
frog.
get up.
Eat
in
that
your
frog,
day.
right. Yeah,
Eat that
exactly.
frog. It's a
Eat
book.
that
I
frog.
was like, I had to look that up.
Yeah, it's a thing because your mind goes to what's fun and easy. And for me, that's making the video. What's fun and easy is not what I need to do first. And so I need to eat the frog and make the thumbnails. And it's a discipline thing. And then my thumbnails suffer. And the thumbnail is going to make the video be good or not, the thumbnail and the title. And I'm not focusing on that.
I know. Well, it's fine.
And I know better, but I'll work on it.
The thing is that like this is awesome because this is a conversation that like everyone like it's we're all kind of like guilty of it at a time until you rewire. It's almost like, you know, the way I put it is, you know, someone wants to buy a house and the first thing they do is they call a real estate agent, right? Mm-hmm. But really what they should be calling is a lender to find out if they could qualify, you know, and then once they qualify, then they can go to that. So it's kind of in my real estate way of thinking, that's the way that it's backwards of how we do it, but we need to relearn or unlearn what we've learned and do it. And the biggest reason why, and I'll tell you why we teach it the way we do, and you know this, Sean, is because when you have a thumbnail and you have a title, making that content flows with that. So then you're not going backwards and going, why can't I fit this into what I made? And that's what a lot of people don't realize is it actually makes your filming process a lot easier. But I agree with you. It definitely takes more planning and it is harder because sometimes you're like, I just can't come up with a thumbnail. And then it's like, well, should I even be making that video?
Exactly.
And that's the when you get to that point, then you're like, oh man, because you don't want to put all the effort in putting a video together that nobody watches. And so the key is finding the patterns on YouTube of what is working, like fire or words that are popping right now, and all of the things that help get people to stop scrolling and to be interested and then to see the amazing content that you make. But it is hard, and it's hard for us to rewire it because we just want to like grab a camera, we want to run out there and we want to start talking about what we know, which is real estate, and we understand it so well. But that's where understanding how YouTube works makes it to where if we can figure that part out to say, okay, I need to stop, I need to plan a little bit, the results are so much better.
It's kind of like since we're using analogies, it's kind of like you made this wonderful round video and then you're trying to put a crappy square hole on top of that round video. Yeah. It's not fitting, you know. You have to like how I look at it and why it became important to me, and it finally clicked for me was when I finally started doing that, and then I ended up using the words of the title in the thumbnail in like right at the beginning of my video. Like it was subconscious. I wasn't even, because I had worked on it for so long, you know, making sure that title and thumbnail were so good that by the time I hit the record, I used those words without even thinking about it. Not that I was repeating the title. It was just one of those things that I ended up saying over and over and over again. So, I mean,
it just flowed.
It flowed right into it. So it kind of ties everything together.
Hey, I think what we should do is we should pull up a channel to do a review on and let Karen, Sean, and Mike give some feedback on some channel reviews. We can talk like as we're doing this, but I think it'd be fun, especially because I think Karen has to leave here in a minute. But let's pull one up and see what they think.
Can we just talk about the floating bananas? Because they're kind of freaking me out.
That is freaking me out.
All right, no more bananas.
Anytime I start talking, then this thing comes up. I know Christina's on there and she's like, this is bananas. Like, what he's talking about.
Is that better?
The secret code. Now we have bubbles.
Is
That's
bubbles
better.
better?
I was
Bananas.
okay with the rain, but the floating bananas, I was like, okay.
Yeah, I like it.
I like that because we're crazy. We're so nerdy. We're full of geeky bananas.
I'm gonna make like some geeky glasses flying in the background that we can add to that.
That sounds like a good idea.
I like it.
Sell your Georgia home. All right. Right. We got her thumb. Look at it. I have to say this. Thank you for putting in your QR code. I don't know what it goes to, but thank you for putting in there. You know, I learned this, and I don't know if you girls heard me. You might have not been on that week, but there was a guy that was on a coaching call, and he he had he has a whole group of people that like they get a ton of business because they have a QR code in their banners. I'm trying to see if her QR code works. I can't get it to work. But
it loaded for me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I put mine on right away, right when you said that.
Yeah, and I did that week too, and it made all the difference in the world. So I was like shocked.
I even put my little logo in the middle of the QR code.
You know, it's interesting. Like when we've talked about this a little bit, and we talk about it. But the consulting that we did, you know, he was looking at his analytics, and a lot of his viewers are on TV, and so this just makes a lot of sense to have a QR code in your banner because they're sitting watching on TV and then they can scan it with their phone.
That's the reason. I was wondering. I couldn't. Oh, see, I missed that part.
Yeah, so it's one of those things that because you know, like you said, more people are using TVs now to watch content, but they still need their phone to do more of that interactive stuff.
Yeah, and half the time people are watching TV, they're also like playing Candy Crush.
They're like doom scrolling on TikTok or something else too, right?
Yep. But yeah, it opened up right to
her grab a free guide. I would probably, instead of say grabbing a free guide, I would say chat, like book a call or talk with me. Yeah. A free guide, I don't care about that. That's like not very personable. I would just been watching you for 20 minutes, teach me about real estate. I want to talk to you.
Yeah, I want to have a conversation, me and you. Yeah. But other than that, man.
Yeah, it's great.
Great job. I'm proud of you. Good job. All right. Well, we're here for thumbnails today. All right. So we're going to just look at the last 3 thumbnails. We got top requested amenities for luxury homes, luxury must-haves. Then we have the top 5 worst renovation mistakes when selling homes. And then we have worst paint colors for your house. Sell your Georgia home. Okay, let's start with this one right here. Mike, you're first.
Okay.
What do you want to give her? What do you want to say?
Okay, on the luxury one, what luxury buyers want?
Uh-huh.
Well, I like that it's very attractive. The blouse is red. It gets my attention. The pool is there, so it gets my attention.
Mm-hmm.
What I would really like to see is get my attention to what luxury buyers want, because you want to hook me in. So I would maybe put a little bit more reddish color there as well, rather than going all of it on the clothing. Yeah. Maybe make the face bigger and put the attention on the luxury part.
You know, I always tell you, if your head isn't touching the top of the thumbnail, you did it wrong. You gotta make yourself bigger. Make yourself bigger.
Yeah.
Karen, what
Great
you got?
idea. They like the idea. It's a good idea overall, but of course, there's always room for improvement.
Yep.
So for me, I would rather see. Yeah, her head needs to be way, way, way bigger. I don't even see her arm like that. I would actually like to see what one of the luxury things is, you know, rather than just a faded pool in the background, and rather than all the words, like show me something that luxury buyers want. Maybe point to it. I know you're not a big fan of pointing, but or an arrow to it, something like that. That it's more like in my face, and then it makes me curious.
Ding 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 ding. You're correct. So if it was me, I would have done it like this. So obviously everybody loves a pool, right? So I would have the pool in the background with a word that just says this with the arrow pointing to it. And I wouldn't have, you're right. I wouldn't have made that pool faded out Because I mean, the red shirt's fine. Again, you're right. Make your melon much bigger. Make that noggin bigger. Everybody wants to see your eyes, so let them see into your eyes. I'm with you on that. But I love the red and the contrast of the blue pool. That looks smart. So what you got, Sean? What do you want to say?
I would have it brightened the pool.
Right.
Her face could have been bigger, and I would have just said what they want. Absent of, what you said is better, but that's why you're the teacher and I'm the student here. But what they want, it again, too many words on the screen. There's 4 words. It's covering up. How do we know what they want? We can't see what's going to be in this video because it's covered by words. And so I would have made it pop with a really bright blue on that water and less words.
Yeah. So like buyers want this, or just the word this and a big red arrow. I concur. Good job, guys. Joe, do you want to add anything?
No, they had like great comments. Perfect.
Yep. All right. So we got this next thumbnail. It says 5 huge mistakes. What do you want to say about that? We're going to go backwards this time. We're going to start with you, Sean.
I would get rid of the number 5, and it's all white on the back. Again, some color. I find that if I put like a bright blue sky on my thumbnail, it always does better. And I would have maybe said big mistakes or the worst. It feels like they're trying to spell out the title on this, but I don't get an inkling of what kind of mistakes they're going to make.
Right. So it's a renovation mistakes. If it was me, I would have showed a house that was painted red, and as they're painting it, how now everybody paints their red brick white now. So I would have like half the house red and half the house white. I wouldn't even have put any words on it whatsoever. I just put the word yuck. Because like there's people that genuinely have a visceral reaction when it comes to painting brick white, So that would have been me. That's what I would have done. What would you have done, Karen?
I mean, if you are going to use words, I might say like, don't do this, and a kind of a different expression, maybe like more like disgust, with one arrow towards like something.
I concur. Yeah. And then of course her noggin needs to be bigger.
All 3 of them, her face needs to be a lot bigger.
Yep. We gotta see her. And she's pretty. So just make yourself pretty. Just blow it out. All right. And then what would you say, Mike?
Well, I like the 5 huge mistakes. It's a little bit too red, and make it straight. I know that sometimes tilting the fonts work, but in this case, it might look better just straight up. This way you are focusing more in the back. I could barely see that the ladder. I could barely notice until I really focused on it. So maybe make it straighter, the fonts. And then like Sean mentioned, it's too bright in the back. You could barely see it. So the attention, instead of going to the left window, top right window, all the attention, my eyes are focused there. It's too bright, taking over the whole picture there. So take away the focus from there and put the focus on your face first, and then the fonts, because you draw attention. So use that to your advantage.
Right. But it has the words mistake already in the title. So I wouldn't use the word mistakes on the thumbnail. So I would have done one more with what Karen said and said, like, don't do it. And then make that image much clearer to the audience, right?
Avoid this, or if something.
There you go. Avoid this, or don't do it.
Yeah.
Or just even an X.
What I would say is if it like find a really nice photo of something that has some real depth to it, and just have a bunch of little red X's, like on stuff that's like pretty, that you can see it really easy, because then you don't even have to say anything, because the red X, you automatically know that's not good.
I concur, Joe Eves.
So
okay, so I'm just going to run over this one really quick myself, and then we're going to go to the next one because we got a bunch of them today. So this one is about paint nightmares. Worst paint colors for your house. Sell your house in your Georgia home. You can't see the paint, and then you can't see the words. The word paint is very difficult for the eye to see, and I have got this very much blown up, and I got my glasses on. I would rethink this whole thumbnail, and then that's my opinion on it. Anybody else want to give a little FYI on your thoughts on this particular thumbnail?
I
Sure,
would just be
yeah.
really careful about using words in like light colors like that, like the light yellow. It just can't read.
Right. If you put a drop shadow on it or even did an outline in black, it would be so much easier for the eye to read. You're right, Karen.
One of the things that I'm noticing on all of her thumbnails is she's doing like an opacity of the background. So like
Correct.
she does a background and then it's really lightened out.
Uh-huh.
Like what you really want to do is have that part of that background be like to help you tell the story. So you don't want less words and more imagery of what you're trying to show. And your face can be part of it, but really what they should be focusing on is how do you say something without saying something. You know, and there's
Listen, her got a lot better though. That's the beginning towards the end.
I was just going to say this is a vast improvement, but this was a really good one right here. I just wouldn't have repeated the words, but like I like this one right here, the safest cities.
Yeah.
I would have had check marks instead of those words, like green check marks. And then she's got her little like thumbs up. Like the facial expression matches what the content is about. That's a big mistake that people make.
Yeah.
They'll be like,
they're like all happy and it's like good disaster.
Yeah. It's like, like 10 most unsafe cities in Atlanta. And they're like, I was like, dude, well, what are you doing? Yeah. At least it makes sense. Yeah. And see, but this facial expression doesn't really cheap ways to increase your home value. And why is she making that face? And she looks kind of annoyed. Right. But she's gotten so much better. So much better. Look at that. This is a good size of your noggin if you just brought it up to the top. Just brought it up to the top. All right. We're going to move on to the next one. What do you think, Joe? Is that good with you?
I think it's great. Really quick, I want to share just so that she can get an idea of because I think some people are like, oh, I can't be too big. It'll be weird. I just stole something off of the internet because that's what we do. Right. But I got Go ahead. I just want to share this really quick. And it's going to be kind of weird for like 2 seconds. So, but look at that. Nick Nimmin, right? Yeah, right. We know him. So the thing is that look how big his head is. His head is massive on this. He's got a couple things in here, but he's really telling a story without having stuff like faded out. So just think about that in composition as you're layering stuff out. And then obviously he's showing like the rule of thirds. So basically he's showing you how you should position yourself in that thumbnail. So it's really, really, it's okay to have your noggin that big. Like it literally is, if his head was down a little more, his chin and the top of his head would fill up this whole spot.
Yep.
So that's totally fine.
That was a good thumbnail too, because I noticed how he snuck in the audience retention off.
Yeah, right there on the side, and then it had like the little circle. Yeah, exactly.
I might have ripped off that idea on a thumbnail.
Yeah, it's a good thumbnail.
You might recognize that on some of our content.
But that's the thing is it's the rule of third is in photography. It's not right. It's not just this YouTube thing. It's like literally when you're doing composition, when you're doing pictures, how you lay out especially
graphic
if you're
design.
Like the landscape. Yeah.
It's all about graphic design.
Yep.
Good one. Like it, Joe. Thank you.
Yeah, I figured I'd share,
Let's pick a different channel. How about that?
Yeah, I like that.
All right. We got Dave Dowell and Jack Conway, Real Estate Channel. All right, I'm just going to tell you this right now. The banner isn't telling the audience anything about your channel other than it's about you two guys. So is it a vlog about you two guys? Or is your name Dave Dowell and then you happen to work for Jack Conway Real Estate? I don't know. Tell us what your channel's about in the banner. So All right, but we're doing thumbnails first. All right, we're gonna go backwards again. We're gonna start with Sean. Sean. All right, we're gonna go over here. Like, what the heck is a contingency? For a common contingency, you may not, and then it gets truncated out.
So much going on here. We don't need subscribe. Make the house more to the side. Get rid of a whole body shot so we could see your head. Because his arms kind of look like T-Rex arms. I would just have a scared face.
Mm-hmm.
And then WTF is a contingency. Seriously, I might just take everything else off seriously and a arrow or something. But all of that on there, it's a lot going on.
I concur.
One of the things that you could do with this type of thumbnail, because you're talking more about like a transaction and like the things that come up with that. So like if I were going to do this thumbnail, I would have something on there where it has like contract, and there's like it's like a graphic of a contract with pen, and then like some red contingent or or something that draws, and you don't even say all the other words. It's just one punch word, but you have that contract. You could still have your face on there, but I would have it more of like that. It doesn't quite match what you're saying. So like you'd want more of like even more of a confused look, I guess, or even maybe more of a concerned look, because you don't want to come across as like you don't know what you're talking about. So it would be more like, oh, what, like a more of a serious concerned, what is this thing, you know? And maybe it's a contract, and then it has like beware, you know, like those
or something like this, where you're holding the contract and you're pointing to the word contingent.
Yep.
Like that, you know,
because all of a sudden that makes way more sense at a glance. You know what the video is about. It's about, I don't know what contingent is, but it's about something with a contract.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Or like, depending on what the video is about, because I don't really know what it's about. If it's about like somebody canceling a contract under a contingency, like under a loan or appraisal, you could have the contract to be like canceled, and then the expression like, you know,
yeah.
Then you're like, wait, what happened? But I think that he doesn't realize that a lot of people look at these on their phones. So like you, Christine, have a big computer, and it's still hard to see everything that's going on. Can you imagine on a little phone? Like, it would be impossible.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm going to jump right over to the second one, because I'm going to tell you right now, red font is the most evil thing for the eye. I mean, the only people that I've ever seen make red font work, it wasn't that it was red font. It's actually the whole thumbnail was red and the font was white. So they're like, oh, I've used red font. I'm like, no, your font is white. The thumbnail was red, and that's why it popped off. Oh, red is very difficult for the eye to see and distinguish where like all the letters meet and end. So like I would never use red font. You definitely do not need the word subscribe on your thumbnails at all, because they're on YouTube. And everybody at this point in the history of YouTube knows that if they like something, they'll subscribe to it. People used to do that back in the day because it was new and they had no idea that you could subscribe to something, and now you are a member of it. Like they couldn't get to wrap their brains around it because it was new, but everybody knows to do that now. Even my dad, who's 82, he knows to do that. So you don't need to do that. And the other thing too is like looking for a dedicated super agent. So I would have made your like, you have, I love the shirt thing.
That would have been, I would have had that way bigger.
Yes. Yeah. So I would take off that whole thing where it says find a dedicated super agent, because you already have that in the title. So I would have been like, have a sold sign up with your shirt almost like coming to the, like you're coming to the rescue. Almost like half of the thumbnail with you like looking at that sign, you know, like sold. What do you think, Joe?
I concur. I agree. I think that actually could be a really good thumbnail.
It could. I concur about that. But the video, I'm going to tell you right now, it's only 1 minute and 12 seconds. If you were trying to make this a short, you only need to make it a minute.
Yeah,
not
you made it a little too long.
Made it too long. And if you're looking to do long form video, I know from experience, you have to make it over 8 minutes.
And it has to be horizontal.
Yeah, this one's vertical. Yep. If you're going to do long form, it has to be horizontal.
And take off the company name. I think his company name is Jack Conway.
I think you're right.
Nobody cares about your company. I mean, it's everywhere. Jack, who the heck is Jack? And what if Jack goes away and then you're with ABC Real Estate? You've got all these thumbnails with Jack's name. And some people will say, oh, my broker requires that. If you have a broker that requires that, you need a new broker.
Yeah, that's why I got rid of mine.
This is your channel, and this looks like a new channel. So he's just
brand new.
Beginning stages, and we all did crazy stuff when we started because we're just trying to figure it out, and that's why these reviews are so good, because we have a different lens now than we did a few years ago when we started. But I see that on groups and stuff, people saying my broker says I have to use their name. No, you don't. And I'm a person, do it now and ask forgiveness later. I'll wait for the broker to call me and then we'll have a nice little discussion about that. But Jack is not paying for me to put this channel up. And so I'm not going to know Jack. Wink, wink. So you don't have to do that. It's just more words.
I concur. I think what he's doing, this looks very Fiverr-ish, like Fiverr's doing it.
Yep.
Because that's a very templated Fiverr type of thumbnail. And so I would start looking at other real estate channels, thumbnails, and get better ideas. But you have something good right here. Like, I'm telling you, please do what Joe and I told you to do. For sale sign on this side that says sold, and then make yourself way bigger where you're looking at the sign. Yep. That would do much better. Anyway, all right. Anybody else want to add anything?
I can add something. I've noticed in most of his thumbnails that I saw, for example, the one on the right, the way I see it, you guys have taught me this. Now I see the title has to match the thumbnail. If you notice, he's used the contingency 3 times in there. You could have used something else in there. And in all your thumbnails, or all his thumbnails, the NAR settlement is a repeat. Dedicated is repeat. So don't repeat anything. If it's in the title, don't use it in the thumbnail. Avoid if you can avoid it.
Yep.
Well, that comes from people teaching, and we don't know who has taught him or what group he learned this from. In the old days, we were all thinking of SEO. I need to put this in my title. Then in my video, in the first 30 seconds, I need to repeat it 12 times. And then I have to put it on my thumbnail. And it doesn't work that way anymore. And so he might just be.
It never really did.
He's listening to the wrong people. And so now you don't need that.
If it was 2008, that would work.
Yeah.
And then the gurus kept going with it for 10 years.
Well, 2020, I was told that, and now I know different. But I still have a bad habit of writing my script that way and have to stop myself. It doesn't matter. And you see,
you got to unlearn it.
You see people saying the same thing. You don't see them. You hear them saying the same thing over and over, and they're thinking they're trying to juice the SEO, and it probably is a hindrance because people like me just exit the video.
Yeah, and it's not a real thing.
Yeah,
you're not. YouTube isn't stupid, and they're not going to let you play silly games to win silly prizes.
Exactly.
All right. Does everybody see this one? Living in Central Florida with Team Bell. Okay. Today we're talking about thumbnails. We're not going to go over the other stuff that we normally do. So we're going to just go straight to the thumbnails. I believe we've done this channel before. Matter of fact, I know we did, but we're going to go over it again.
Oh, maybe it just came through. So maybe.
Yeah, no. This was the one he was using it as kind of like a vlog.
For everything. Yeah.
Yep. So I can already tell these.
Go back, look at those. You can see the 2 other Fiverr designs.
Yeah, these are totally Fiverr designs. And the thing is that the Fiverr designers only doing what they know how to do because you haven't given them any direction on what makes a good thumbnail for real estate. And in order for you to understand what makes a good real estate thumbnail, I'm just going to plug Joe and I, on Monday, are releasing our super duper most wonderful thumbnail course. It's the most extensive thumbnail course you can buy, honest to God. And it will cover everything you need to understand in order to make really good, eye-catching, clickable thumbnails. And that way you can, if you do decide to hire a thumbnail designer, you can give them directions exactly the way that Joe and I have taught. And that way you'll all start getting good eye-catching thumbnails. So I thought I'd give myself a little plug there.
It's a great plug, and it's going to be amazing. There's also some other things that will help speed up the thumbnail design, which is going to be, we've got how you can now use AI to help you. And there's some pretty cool stuff that not a lot of people know about with AI that's coming out for image generation that looks real.
Chef's kiss.
I gotta go.
It looks so good.
Thank you, Karen, for putting in your input. I loved it. Thank you.
I gotta say, if you guys want to see good thumbnails, check out Christina's channel. She is the master of thumbnails, and you'll see exactly what she does, and then watch these videos, and it'll all make sense. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, that was a good plug. I didn't even pay her.
Yeah.
All right. So, yeah, we talked about his thumbnails before because he was kind of like all over the place. And then I said, really, he should probably lean into the 55 plus community because that seemed like where he was getting the most views from. But these thumbnails are probably the nicest. But you have this one right here and you're floating, right? You have the image cut off and then you're kind of floating in space. Woo! Like, where's the rest of your body, right? You should go ahead and just stretch your noggin all the way to the top of that thumbnail and all the way to the bottom. Do you want to add anything to that, Mr. Mike?
Yeah, I like the thumbnails. It seems like a lot of them are AI generated, but there's lots of color in there. Maybe you can cut back on some colors. Like the ones on King's Ridge, you have a nice yellows, you got bright blues, you got greens, you have reds in there. So the eyes, when I'm scrolling down, in the sense a general viewer scrolling down, you can't focus on it. Like if you look on the right side, Friday Night Fun, that gets my attention. You still have a lot of colors in there. So if you can cut back on some colors or fade them in the background, that'll give attention to yourself if it's the facial expression or your attention grabbing wording that you're using, words that you're using.
I hate this border thing. Like that border thing is totally unnecessary with the weeds in the corners.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do that at all.
Here's what I see. Just looking, if this is from a branding standpoint, tell me if this matters or not, but it matters to me. These 3 thumbnails, and I haven't looked at all the other videos, but these 3 thumbnails, if I go to this channel to see if I like this person, you got 3 different fonts, all different. There's no continuity. What's his brand? We got a 55 plus, then, there's different things. And so I'd like to see a uniformity to this. And obviously, you keep trying things, but maybe on some of these, go back and get one kind of font. Even if you didn't change the whole design to a lot of these, maybe the last 12, the top few rows of the scroll, just change that font to one font, remove some words, put one font. I mean, these that we can see here, we don't want any red, but I would start with that just from a branding perspective. And if you're going to be the AI guy, make it all AI and all the same font so that if I see that, I know it's his channel. If I'm a viewer, because YouTube's going to feed you the same thing every morning. If there's a new video, you would say, oh, that's my favorite guy. I got to see what he put up today, because you recognize his brand instead of being all over the map. I like the AI photos a lot, but I don't know who's doing this unless I see his face. And so I'd like to see some uniformity here.
Yeah. And then the thing is, I think he can get uniformity once he decides who his avatar and what his niche is.
Well, yeah, that's true. This is a new channel. So, don't go back to my new channel and see what it looked like, because and that's the whole thing. Like, that's the whole point. Not one of us on this panel has made a good thumbnail at the beginning, because I am going to show everybody. Like, everybody's like, oh, Christina just really knows how to I've been doing this since 2017, right?
But my old thumbnails are literally trash, right? Can anybody see these? Do they not look very familiar to somebody that
we all had to start here, and I guess the beauty of this live stream is other people don't have to take as long as we all took to figure it out. You know, they can solve their problem, you know, in the first few months rather than taking 3 years like I did, and I'm still not there. And so, yeah, don't look at mine because it's pathetic. This makes
mine are terrible.
Wow.
Mine are terrible.
But at the time, you didn't know what you didn't know.
I didn't know, and people still called me. I still got calls and sold houses from it, but not as many as I do now. And again, I think it's a branding thing. At the beginning, I was just on some kind of Canva, you know, drug trip, thinking I was the greatest designer, and I'd look at what other people did. And I think that I could use this photo if I put a whole green filter over it. What is this?
These are all Canva.
What was this thumbnail? It's so bad. And so it's a progression that we all take. But yeah, look at how you are now. I aspire to be this, but you didn't start off this way.
Yeah, but look how big my noggin is. I mean, my hair is touching the top always. Yep. Yeah, but I mean, my old ones are garbage. I always laugh when I look at these because these are all Canva. Because at the time that was like everybody was using it. Like the fonts, look at it. I mean, like so stupid. And look, I had my freaking personal branding logo on everything. So
but it goes back to exactly why we do this live stream, is because people were told that you have to do this, you have to do the branding, and they're not in YouTube, they're just marketers. And so the problem is that this is not like your regular branding, your regular marketing. It's way more effective, I think. But like one of the things that you get to learn by going to these live streams is to figure out little by little, you can start making these small tweaks on your channel to actually get some really good results. And it doesn't take long. And we've had a lot of people that have watched even just the live streams, and we've got messages and saying, this totally changed how I do YouTube. I'm getting leads now, you know. And so these are actionable items that we're talking about. We're not picking apart any of your channels. We're trying to help you get to that next level. And so don't ever take it as like we're trying to come down on you. It's we're trying to help you because you've listened to somebody, but that person obviously doesn't know what they're doing on YouTube.
Yep.
And get there quicker than I had to get there, because I was listening to probably those same goofy people, and I was just trying to figure it out. But if somebody can watch this and hear our mistakes, they can get there quicker.
Absolutely.
Well, it's not personal. It's just we've done goofy things and we know better now. Somewhat.
Right. Yeah. And like the thing is back in the day too, I'll give us a little grace, because back in the day then there were people that were really good at doing certain things on certain platforms, but they thought they were good at everything. But everybody
would work on every platform.
They thought that because this is what works on Instagram, that would work on thumbnails on YouTube, and that isn't necessarily the case.
Well, simple things like, you know, when we would do the white outline, I watched multiple YouTube videos to figure out how to make the white outline of my head like the other people were doing. Now we don't even do that. We don't want a white outline, but there are still people that are, here's a huge offender. Now they're better now, was the Tom Ferry channel. And it was like a 4-year-old cut it out with scissors, and they thought that was cool. And I said to somebody at that organization, when they can up their thumbnail game, I might be impressed by you guys. It's painful, and they should have known better. And so I thought, well, I feel pretty good about myself and my crappy thumbnails because I'm not looking like it's cut out with scissors. But now I don't have any white outline. You know, I even might have a video left where I thought orange would be good that day because I saw somebody do it. It's just progression. But gosh, anybody new who's watching this, save yourself the time and listen to this advice. It's not personal. We just don't want you to burn 3 years trying to get better.
And here's the thing about you made a very important comment. There are trends that happen in YouTube. It's much like the fire, much like cutting out your image and putting the white line on it. That was a very big trend, not just in real estate. It was across the board on YouTube. And then one day somebody said, I'm not clicking on that crap anymore. And it was like everybody turned off their white line. No, not one. No, nobody was doing anymore.
Yeah.
The thing is for you to understand and study what's working on YouTube today. And Joe and I, in this thumbnail course, we explain to you exactly how to identify those trends when they're working and when they're no longer working. So that way, you know, and you're ahead of the game of everybody else who's floundering around, still putting white lines behind themselves, right? That's the most important thing, is understanding what's trending on YouTube today to really get a pulse of what makes a good thumbnail. The fundamentals, though, are very simple. Easy to read font, not too many words. Make your image big enough where you see the whites of your eyes, and make sure it tells a simple story that the eye can read within a blink of an eye. That's, I mean, you can't get any easier than that. What do you have to say, Joe?
Yeah, it's really like, it's a very simple concept, but it's very hard to execute. And I think that's the biggest thing, is it takes time. If you really want to increase your click-through rate and you really want more views, you need to spend more time on your thumbnail. Like, your thumbnail is the very first thing that they're going to see. And if they don't know what it is in a second or two, they're gone. Or if it doesn't create curiosity, or if it doesn't create intrigue or like concern, they're gone. And so then that's a big reason why your videos aren't getting views, is because no one's clicking on them. But if you can get them to click, then you got a fighting chance with your good content to actually educate people about the real estate market. But you can't just, as a passing thought, upload something and think that you're going to get a lot of views. It just won't happen.
Very rarely. You have an anomaly out there, because like years ago, Will Friedner did it.
Okay, yeah, there's very, very rarely will you find one and you're like, how the heck did that get so many views?
Right. You hit one, but I'll say this. His thumbnail was just a simple image of exactly what he was talking about.
Right.
I think it was Montana, right?
Yeah.
So it just had a very simple, picturesque picture of, and the quality of that thumbnail was not even that great, right? That wasn't it. It was, he hit all the right spots at the right moments, but the picture was interesting enough that it got people interested to hear what he had to say. So that thumbnail, as much as we like to say, don't judge a book by its cover, we're human beings, and every single person on the planet judges a book by its cover. I mean, that's how we survive. We have to make those determinations.
We got to make quick decisions
right away. That's how we survive as human beings. So make that thumbnail so simple, easy to read, and understandable that it's irresistible for someone to click on. I like Karen was saying earlier, you can get so fancy and you can get so wrapped up in it that you end up putting so much stuff in there that the eye is almost like it's garbage. It ends up being just too much overload. Simplify. Like those simple shapes will get people's attention. Those those good bold words. You only need a couple. You don't need a whole novel on a thumbnail. Don't do that. I don't know how many that.
One thing that we talk a lot about and that we teach is, if you're struggling and you put something together, show it to someone that's never seen it and ask them in a minute or two what they think the video is about. And if they can't tell you, then you're not going in the right direction. You may want to rethink what you're doing.
I do that with my kids, because they obviously know I'm in real estate, and I'll say, what do you think this video is about? And they're like, I don't know, I'm buying a house. I'm like, yeah, but what kind of house? I don't know. And I'm like, okay, back to the drawing board, and you know what, too? Don't be afraid to ask your kids, and don't get offended when they say, I don't like this, and then ask them what they would do, because honest to God, they have a much better mind for thumbnails than you do.
Yeah.
They get it. They're on these devices every day. Every single day. They've grown up with them. So take the advice of that 13, 14, 15-year-old kid, because they've got their finger on the pulse of what's actually working, because they see it every day. They know. Don't get your feelings hurt, because I know I've got my feelings hurt. Nothing will humble you like a teenager, right?
And you're like all proud, and you're like, oh, look what I did. And then they're like,
they're like, yeah,
that's trash.
They're like, I don't get it. I don't know. I don't get that. Like one of the best things that my kid told me to do, which I thought was so stupid. I'm going to actually pull it up, but it was one of my videos. It was about tiny homes, and I got it all done. I'm like, what do you think? She's like, you need to be in the thumbnail. I'm like, no, I have to feature the house first. And she's like, yeah, but I still think you need to be in the thumbnail. And I'm like, she goes, if you've been tiny on a thumbnail before, like, do that. And I'm like, okay. And so I put this little tiny image of myself, right? This is how in tune they are, right? Can you see this one in the middle?
No, you got to share it onto the stage here.
Oh, okay. Sorry. All right. So the one in the very middle, the
Yep.
gray one. Okay. So I did that gray one. It was doing good, right? It was doing really good. And then I switched it out just to see, because I wanted to, like, I was going to give her I told you so face. I put that with the stupid little image of myself in the corner, and then it blew up.
Yeah. And you're like, oh.
Yeah. And so, but I was proud of it, like, to show her, like, look, you were right. Like, I'm glad that you told me to do that. It's so funny, because then, what's so funny about that particular thumbnail? Somebody used that image on a TikTok. And
they didn't take you out? You're still in it?
No, they didn't take me out there. There I am. I'm like, oh. And then they tagged me in it. When a viewer tagged me and they go, isn't that you? And I'm like, yep, that's me on that.
That's funny.
I know. But listen to those kids. They drive you crazy. They say stupid stuff, but they know what they're talking about when they come to these thumbnails. Yeah. I mean, like,
True.
As dumb as you think their advice is, just listen to them on this. We have a lot to learn from those kids, those crazy kids,
Yeah.
So, let me go ahead and put this up on the screen. Hold on. Did I grab the wrong thing? I think I grabbed the wrong thing.
What are you trying to do here? You the website?
Yeah, here it is. It was the wait list. Yeah. So we're still on the wait list. This is going to get done this weekend, though. This should be out by Monday, right?
Yep.
This is the wait list. I'm telling you, it is not a 3-video course. This is a full-on course that will take you all weekend to finish it. That's like you starting it in the morning and working on these things.
And to refer back to, because there's a lot of information in it.
Yep. Once you get this course, you have it for a lifetime. You can always refer back to it. We always update courses as things change too. So if anything changes in the future with aspects of thumbnail making, or if there's an update to YouTube, this thumbnail course will be updated as well. The cool part is that if you do purchase a course, we're going to give you a little discount if you decide to go ahead and take the bigger course, which these students right here, Sean is a student of ours. Mike is a student of ours. They're in the continuing education part of the course. So they have coaching for life from us, and it's one-on-one coaching, and they were just nice.
I didn't learn it the first time, so I keep it.
Yeah. And we've taken it many times, and thanks for that, because we're still taking it, because you learn every time. Yeah.
And things have been updated, and I just forget, so I go back and watch things again.
Yeah.
Yep. And you have access to that for a lifetime. You don't have to do the continuing coaching, but I assure you that it works out. And then there's people that still, do the 8-week course with the other new students every single time too. Rebecca's one of them that has done that, because you like you said, Sean, you forget stuff. You're like, oh, or they didn't click that first time. And
things aren't clicking for me from time to time. And I may have to go back and do another 8-week course. If I just have to find a consistent time that I can do it, hopefully soon. But I just, my brain's older than everybody else. So I forget.
You're the same age as me, liar, pants on fire.
I'm 62 years old. You're not that old.
Close enough. Close enough.
My brain is like 82, though. It seems.
Maybe we should start drinking. Maybe that's what it is.
Oh,
everyone says,
no,
you
I
gotta quit
can't do
drinking.
that.
We
I
gotta
tried
quit
that.
drink, so.
Drinking doesn't work for me. It ends badly.
Well, there you go. There you go. But I wanted everybody to be aware that this thumbnail course is coming out. It will give you a good idea what the rest of the course is about. So it's like if you're not too sure and you don't want to invest all that money in the bigger course that we have, at least do the thumbnail course, because that is so important to the success of your YouTube videos. Like I said, that's the window to the soul of your video.
Yep.
No one's clicking on it. No one's watching it. So like, if you're willing to take the chance, improve your thumbnail game, so that way you can improve your click-through rate, which gets people to watch more. That way you get your foot in the door to understand what Joe and I are teaching you when it comes to YouTube. So the course is here. It's not ready for just to be purchased yet. You can go ahead and sign up for the...
Yeah, if you join on the wait list, you will get an email as soon as it's live.
Yep. And it's like Joe has some good stuff about AI. I talk about the fundamentals of thumbnails. I show you how to edit those thumbnails as well. So I that's all I want to say. Anybody else want to add anything? Anybody else want to talk about it? Nope, they don't want to say nothing. Joe, you got anything for us?
Listen, I think that I'm very grateful that Mike and Sean jumped on and that we're able to talk about thumbnails, and that you just going back and rewatching this, if you're struggling or you're trying to get better at making thumbnails, then definitely watch this and put into action the things we've talked about. But if you want to really speed it up, then join the wait list, and when it's available, you won't regret it. So that's what I have to say.
I concur, Joe.
I highly recommend the course. I haven't taken it, but I've learned so much, and I'm just waiting to take that course. So,
yeah, the next one. Yeah, the thumbnail one. Yep.
thumbnail one. Yeah.
That will be coming to you guys on your here soon.
Oh.
Yep. We got to get to the hook. Ready? Everybody's going to sing this. Ready? It's the
Yeah, they know
it's on your life.
I'm not singing.
AI made this. Our tag. This is